Welcome to 40 Plus Fitness for Women. I'm Lynn Sederloff Iristo, your host, and I'm a certified menopause fitness coach. And today I am releasing this on my birthday, April 1st, and I will be turning 54 on April 1st. So happy birthday to me. And by the way, if you're not on my mailing list yet, I am sending out a little gift to everyone who is on my mailing list. So it will only go out today. So if you're listening to this, get on my mailing list really, really quickly, and you should be able to get the little bonus, birthday bonus that I'm sending out. But anyway, I thought that this would maybe be a really good moment to share a little bit about my journey here in perimenopause, menopause, and with fitness, because I have gotten a lot of new listeners lately, and not everybody goes back and listens to all the podcasts from number one to find out what the heck is this woman all about. So I thought I would do a little bit of an update for you here. I mean, there are women who write me and they say, "Oh, I'm listening to your podcasts and I've started, I'm already up to number 19 or whatever." And I think that's amazing because as you listen to them, you start to, I think in a different way, just like I have, as I have learned more about how to take care of our bodies in menopause and perimenopause and beyond, really. So if I think about my journey and kind of the things that I hope I could share with everyone, and this has some things that aren't maybe so fitness related, but one of the things that really happened to me in perimenopause is that I went through it totally in the dark. It happened to me much earlier than I ever thought it would happen to me. And I was actually diagnosed in a doctor's office. And then my gynecologist asked me, "So, do you have any symptoms?" And I was like, "Well, I've had some hot flashes every now and again, but they don't bother me really, so nah." And it turned out that I had an enormous amount of symptoms, and it was really kind of wrecking my life because I was even depressed. I was in a deep depression. I had been diagnosed with depression. I had been given antidepressants and, talk therapy. So I was seeing a therapist weekly. And after a year of that, imagine I went in and I was in worse shape than I had been before, like when I started taking the antidepressants and started the therapy. That's not how things normally go, right? And I was losing my hair, sex drive gone. I had started a new job, couldn't remember anything, had to write everything down. And it really wrecked my life for years. I mean, it was probably 2, 3 years that it was kind of going downhill as the depression was coming on. And then the year that I was on the antidepressants and everything, and nothing helped. And then I finally advocated for myself and got myself on hormone replacement therapy. And then things started looking up. But these things don't kind of change overnight. And so it was still a big journey back to being normal or feeling good in life. And during this, I actually did get divorced. So it was really at the point where I was at my lowest, so a year after the therapy, and nothing was going better. And I thought, what the hell, if this isn't helping, then I need to change something else in my life. And my marriage was not great. So I decided I gotta do something because this just can't keep getting worse and worse. And I ended up moving out, and basically I left my husband with pretty much all of the furniture. So I moved into this rental that was close by because we had joint custody of the kids. And yeah, we were like eating off of cardboard boxes and sitting on little stools until I could, accumulate enough furniture to furnish the place. I bought stuff from IKEA and then a lot of stuff used online, and my friends contributed, all these kinds of kitchen things that they didn't need anymore. So I had to kind of a mishmash of everything in my new home. Because in Finland, divorce, there's no such thing as alimony or child support, really, especially since we had organized to share the kids, evenly. I think it is extremely important for children to have a father in their life. So the 50-50 arrangement was clear to me long before I decided to actually leave, that that would be it. So what that means is that obviously, since both of you have to have homes and both of you are buying groceries for the kids and all that, then we just split the kids' expenses in half as far as clothing and hobbies. Of course, groceries, if he wanted to feed them filet mignon, he could, and then I could go, buy something a little cheaper, whatever. And yeah, so it was actually a really, really rough time then. But things did start to look up once I got into my own space and build my life back to looking like me again and being able to do the things that I wanted to do. And any of you who have been in a situation where you've been in a relationship, and it might have been like before you got married or whatever, where you're living with somebody and things are just not going well, it is extremely stressful, like all the time, and not nice to be in that kind of an environment. So just getting out of that was really good. And then the hormone replacement therapy, life started to look up. And almost a year later is when like I started feeling good again. And at that point, I was in my mid 40s. I was 45 when we broke up or when I moved out. And then I started really having a blast dating, getting to know new people, having fun, like doing the things that I wanted to do on the weeks that I didn't have the kids. Obviously, when I had the kids, it was like 100% kids, kids, kids. And I was really into fitness as I had been already before we got divorced. It was one of the things that I did, always. So it was actually quite hard when we split up because I took the dog. We had already agreed back when we bought the dog that the dog was mine, and therefore, if we ended up splitting up, I would have the dog. And imagine poor dog, I'm at work all day. I come home, I take the dog for an hour walk, then I go to the gym, then I come home and go to sleep, then I get up again the next morning and I go to work all day. So not the most fun for her. And after about a year and a half of that, we did decide to have the dog move back and forth with the kids because honestly, she was kind of traumatized about her pack leaving her every other week. And so she started traveling with the kids. Anyway, I know this is like hopefully not too TMI. You can just fast forward through this if it seems like too much, but I think one of the biggest things that I realized is how amazing life can be in midlife. I mean, so many years I had spent so focused on my children and my career. And I mean, I would not trade back a single day that I spent with my kids. I spent about 7 years, sorry, home, because here we have very, very long maternity leaves. I spent 7 years home taking care of my children like day to day, playing with them, feeding them, everything. And I would never trade those days. But of course, it's very like focused on caregiving and on somebody other than you. And for me, for so many years, it was like those trips to the gym was me time. And it was the only me time that I had in a week was when I would hand over my three kids to my husband and head for the gym. And then I had like an hour and a half because the gym was very, very close. So it's like 5 minute drive, you do your class, you come home. Anyway, so now at almost age 50, I was like having this, oh, it was an amazing, amazing, amazing time. And then I met some other women who were divorced and, coming out of long relationships, and we just bonded so well. Same kind of interests. We loved to go out. We loved to have fun, do stuff as a group, rent cabins, traveled, and all kinds of things that happened with that group. And I mean, life was really good. And then all of a sudden, I was the first one, I think, out of the group, or probably the youngest when I went through menopause, even though I'm on the younger end of that group. But a lot of the women, even though they're older than me, they're still getting their periods, which is amazing. And I haven't had my period in 6 years, 7 years. And then all of a sudden, like I was probably the one working out the most out of all of us, and I started to look like the one that didn't work out, right? I was starting to look flabby and lost my muscle tone, gained fat, all the things. And that really sparked my interest in, hey, life is amazing. I'm having such a great time. I am not ready to start looking old or feeling old or have my body not be, something that I feel really good in. And that is why I started weight training. Because when I lost my muscles, I was like, I mean, I could clearly see I've lost my muscles. I don't see them when I'm brushing my teeth. I don't see them. I don't look toned. I don't look athletic. I don't look fit. So I knew that somehow I had to get my muscle back. And I started working with weights. And I guess the mistake that I made right in the beginning was I started with one of these follow along online programs. And I won't give the name, but they've grown quite a bit and they talk about building muscle and all that. And I have to say, yes, it was nice because it like got me picking up weights. But after a few months of that, I realized this isn't really doing anything different from my body pump classes. It's just doing it a little bit differently. Like I'm not sweating as much, no, but I'm also not getting any progressive overload in. We weren't in any way tracking what we were doing. We weren't doing the same exercises over and over again and then just progressing them. It was always a little bit different. And I get it. They actually morphed over time to being more and more like just group fitness classes online because that's what people want and they make a lot of money doing that. But, it wasn't doing anything for my body. So I started strength training on my own, building my own programs, learning about biomechanics, learning about programming, and that's when I started to see a real difference where, where I had been bicep curling the same weights for years. And then all of a sudden my weights were going up and my arms were starting to look toned again. And I was like, yes, this is working. And I launched my podcast and all the things. And I did that for about a year and a half, and my body composition kept improving. I was eating, not paying so much attention to what I was eating. I was eating more protein, yes, but I wasn't like on any special diet. I wasn't tracking anything. I was just trying to eat more protein. And then I decided that, hey, I want some faster results. So at that point, I started on my first fat loss diet, and that's the only one I've been on so far. And that is when like things really, really changed for me because I had studied how do you do this? I'm a bit of a scientist geek, and I figured out kind of the formula and I started applying it and it worked. It was like 10 weeks, 10 pounds, and finally, I looked like I had before. I actually ended up overshooting a bit my targets because I did this in the spring, and in the summer I broke up with my then boyfriend, and that caused disruption in my life. And when I'm stressed like that, I don't really eat. So so I a little bit overshot to the point where my friends were like, Lynn, you're getting a little bit maybe too thin, and then I was really watching what I was eating to make sure that I was eating enough. And I learned so many great habits that have allowed me to maintain my weight. But I'll tell you that there are, it's not like there haven't been setbacks here. Maybe I come across as everything has just been going great here. It hasn't. Dating is not easy. Breaking up is not easy. Dealing with teenagers, as you know, is not easy. So stress levels have been up and down, and trying to manage the stress, trying to get enough sleep, so many things. And the fact that you do get injuries every now and again. I mean, no matter what you do, right? The latest one that I had was actually that I pulled my calf muscle so that it was like painful for me to even walk. And that happened in a dance class. Did not happen when I was doing calf raises with 112 kilos. It happened while I was doing a dance class. So it can kind of happen anytime. And a year and a half ago, my knee, which swelled up, and then I had to learn to work with that again. But you can always work around these things. And I think it's important to just keep going. But I'm so grateful that I started weight training because it has taught me so much about sticking to it, trusting the process. It did not happen overnight that I got my body back. It took a year and a half, a little bit more than that. I mean, I could have done it faster if I had known as much as I know now. But at that point, it took a year and a half, but I knew I was doing the right things. And so I just persisted. It's about doing things even when they're outside of your comfort zone. It's about going and doing the workout even when you don't feel like it. It's discipline, and you always feel good at the end of the workout, even if the whole workout sucked and you didn't get all the sets and all the reps that you normally do. You're always glad that you went at the end. And it makes me feel so tough. One of the things that I love so much, and I've mentioned this before, is that if there are like men or young boys, teenager boys, training near me, and then I'm stronger than them, and I'm just thinking to myself, yep, I am your mom's age, and here I am. So just you can learn something even from an old lady like me. And I think new in my journey has really been this kind of fear of aging that's been coming on because I'm watching my parents decline over the past 2 years. Really, their physical strength and abilities have really decreased. They're starting to be like leaning forward, tripping on things on the floor, which means they're not picking up their feet. They've inserted a cushion underneath their sofa to raise it more because they're having trouble getting up off the sofa. And believe me, if I could somehow convince them to start strength training, I would. I am really advocating for that so that they can manage the following years and that they don't need help. It's awful that they're already starting to use aids for their their everyday life. And it is really awful to watch. And I don't want that to happen to me. So weight training has taken on a really special significance in just maintaining my body. You can be so much younger just by taking care of yourself. So I guess in conclusion, I feel like over the past years, I'm now on year 4 of strength training, but I have been in menopause for, goodness, perimenopause probably started in my early 40s. So this menopause journey has been going on for over 10 years. And I've gotten from the point where my life was a complete mess to where I have menopause under control. I do take HRT. It did not save me from losing my muscles a few years ago. I was already on HRT for a while when that happened. So it's not a magic bullet because people ask that. And now I just feel like I need to keep going with this and tackle aging gracefully and strongly. And yeah, and I hope to help all of you do that as well. So that was my greetings to start my 54th year. And remember, if you're not on my email list yet, get on there so that you can get my little birthday surprise. And with that, I leave you till next week and happy training.